Today we are discussing about a poison case. Dr. Vivek will be giving the details of the case. We'll see what is the type of poison, how to manage this in emergency room. Can we start now?
Yes, thank you, sir. 26-year-old male was rolled into ER with alleged history of intake of paraquat. Of a mouthful of paraquat, he mixed with water and he took the poison.
Before going any case like this, suicidal tendency, you have to always ask about the psychiatric history of this patient, because many patients who may be having depression, anxiety, they may be on the drugs which they are taking, and they may take additional tablets with that, and they may take your poison. So that is very, very important to know, to manage in emergency room.
Yes.
But as normal history taking, you can take it the last.
Yes. Our patient is also a known case of depressive disorder and on fluoxetine and fluoxetine. Sir.
Okay, so you keep that in mind. Fluoxetine overdose also, along with the whatever current toxin here.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Our initial 10-second assessment, patient was conscious, oriented, obeying to commands, able to complete one full sentence. Then we started with primary service, sir. Before that, we need to know a short history, sir, because patient have consumed poison at 3:30 p.m. in evening, and we received the patient at night 10.
Okay.
In meanwhile, he have visited nearby.
What is the importance of this timing? Like any other disease, you have a golden time.
Yes.
In poisoning case, any golden time?
In paraquat, in considering this patient and other toxicological patients who have consumed poisons, initial 4 hours is very important because of gastric decontamination, sir. Okay. That too, paraquat poison will present to us in a very acute emergency. So we have to intervene in initial 1 or 2 hours itself.
Okay. So
we have
the
to
time is very important for gastric decontamination. Yes. After delayed hours, like many hours, even if you give gastric decontamination, it will not work. So the time of onset is very, very important here.
Yes, sir. Before coming to our hospital, he have visited a primary care center where they have done gastric decontamination with activated charcoal of 1 gram per kg they have done.
What is the recommendation for gastric decontamination in any poisoning?
Yes, sir. When
we don't know the poison, we normally give activated charcoal. What is the time duration?
Yes, usually gastric decontamination works if we are doing within 4 hours of toxin injections. Okay. But as fast, however the fastest time we can do, we should do it, sir.
So normally within 1 hour it will give maximum benefit. But if the patient has taken more amount of toxin, delayed absorption. Like diabetic gastropathy, so many conditions we can even use it after that. There is no harm in giving a drug like this even after 2 hours or 3 hours. But book says it is less than 1 hour. But in our situation, in Indian situation, we can give even after that. Okay, because they may take a larger volume.
Yes. From there, they have done skin decontamination and they removed the shirt which he was using, and some other dress they have placed, and they have referred the patient here. Okay. Our initial assessment.
All these herbicides, pesticides, we have to remove the dress of the patient. Why it is like that?
Sir, there might be cutaneous exposure, and by intranasally also some exposure can be there.
Both for the patient and benefit of the healthcare professional, because we also can get infected from that whatever poison on the skin. We can get contact problems to our skin lesions. It can produce. Whereas in drug toxicity, that is not there. Suppose somebody has taken a paracetamol, 10 grams. There is no need to give a thorough body wash. Whereas in pesticide, herbicides, it has to be done in emergency room, and we have to preserve the clothing, because tomorrow it will become an MLC. So we have to preserve the clothings of all medical legal cases. We have to preserve the clothing. Whatever we remove, we have to keep for police investigation. Okay.
Then whenever you are approaching such a kind of patient, we have to use a rubber glove, or if possible, if rubber glove is not available, then we have to use double gloves or 3 gloves.
That is good. Okay.
Yes. After reaching ER, in his primary survey, his airway is patent, sir. No secretions in oral cavity. At that point of time, there is no ulcer.
What is more in oral cavity in paraquat poison?
In paraquat poison, there will be excoriations or ulcers will be present.
A lot of ulcers are possible in paraquat poison. Okay.
That is not there at initial presentation, sir. Okay. Then his breathing part, bilateral air entry was present. Respiratory rate is 18 cycles per minute. Saturation on room air, he is maintaining 99%.
What are the common respiratory findings you seen in poisoning case, in acute poisoning and after a few days?
Yes. Usually in acute poisoning, because of anxiety, they will be hyperventilating, sir. Okay. So respiratory alkalosis can be there.
Okay. On examination?
If patient is in have reached already, the patient have reached in toxic level means then there may be alkalosis or metabolic alkalosis.
That's okay. That is lab investigation. Clinically, what you are looking for in a case who has taken poison?
Breath of poison.
More than that, for an emergency doctor, whether he aspirated, that is very important, because he has taken most of these drugs like Parakit or whatever it is, they contain an emetic. Whenever you accidentally take it, there is an emetic added to the Parakit preparation. So most of these patients will vomit, or somebody may induce. Only medical professional tell no induce vomiting, but from home somebody try to induce vomiting, there is a high chance of aspiration. So we have to take care of that. If aspirated, we have to go according to the aspiration prevention protocol. So that should be examined. More than your alkalosis, everything, that's a lab investigation wise you can get. But crepitations are most important. After few days, what X-ray what clinical findings you get in lungs? 1 or 2 days. Chemical pneumonitis, ARDS, all these findings like crepitations are common. So first day also look for crepitation. Consequent days also you look for crepitations. Okay, V's and crepitations.
Yes.
Okay.
In circulation, BP is 130 on 80 millimeters of mercury. All peripheral pulses are equally felt. Heart rate is 80 to 90 beats per minute. Capillary refilling time is 2 seconds. His sensorium wise, GCS is E4, V5, M6. Pupil are 2.5 millimeter equally reacting to light.
Okay.
Initial sugars and temperature
Which
are
is the
normal.
one organ which is not involved in Parakit poisoning?
Pancreas.
Parakit involves brain. The brain is the one organ which may not be involved in Parakit poisoning. But in a patient who is taken Parakit, many patients are having altered behavior or unconsciousness. What may be the most co-ingestion of alcohol? Well, alcohol is one of the most common co-ingestion with almost all type of toxins. Okay.
Then we proceeded with examination. We asked for adjuncts, sir. In adjuncts part, we took an arterial blood gas and ECG, sir. Okay. Arterial blood gas is showing a pH of 7.3, bicarbonate of 18. Our arterial blood gas will also have a lactate value, sir. Okay. In our ABG, lactate is 6.6 with the normal creatinine, sir. Okay. So metabolic acidosis have happened.
What are the ABG abnormalities seen in Parakit poisoning?
Sir, a patient can go for early renal failure, sir. In that
early renal failure, before that ABG, something else you can see.
Acidosis.
Before that. Respiratory
alkalosis.
Initially respiratory alkalosis, later patient develops metabolic acidosis including lactic acidosis, then patient develops renal failure, that also add on to the acidosis. Okay, so alkalosis, then metabolic acidosis, then lactic acidosis, then renal acidosis. It's continuous cycle. Okay.
Yes. That is our arterial blood gas finding. Initial ECG is showing sinus rhythm, sir.
Okay.
Then we proceeded with detailed examination and sample history, sir. Sample history, patient is a known case of glutaric aciduria on riboflavin and carnitine, sir.
Okay.
Then he is also a known case of depression.
So there is a high chance of acidosis because that also. Okay, so you always expect a metabolic acidosis basically because of his metabolic disorder. Okay.
He is also a known case of depression on fluoxetine tablets, sir.
Okay.
Then his last meal is afternoon 1 p.m., sir.
Okay.
Then events leading to this history, he had consumed Parakit, a mouthful in a liquid form of around 80 to 90 ml.
Okay.
80 to 90 ml, sir.
Following more than 30 ml will be dangerous.
Yes. Okay. Anything more than 30 ml of 20% concentration is dangerous.
Okay.
Then after that, he had multiple episodes of vomiting, following which he was taken to nearby primary care center where they have done after examination where they have done GI decontamination. Then they have referred the patient to us, sir.
Okay.
In our initial systemic examination.
How do you do GI decontamination in any poisoning who come to emergency room?
Sir, usually what we require is a decontamination tube is required.
Ideally tube is required, but nowadays we are not getting it, or some hospitals still they have. If they have, they can use it, but it is painful. We need to have some sedation.
Large bore.
Okay.
Usually what we do is that we use a rails tube so larger diameter.
Okay.
That's for a practical applicable.
Okay.
That's the one available. With that we infuse around 1 liter of normal saline and then we aspirate this content and we have to preserve it for toxicological analysis also. So that's the first initial gastric decontamination.
Okay.
Other ones are enhanced eliminations. We can go for activated charcoal.
How do you prepare charcoal?
1 gram per kg of charcoal we will take, so usually maximum of 50 gram we can take.
Okay.
We will make it as a slurry mixing with some juice or liquid in a compatible form, and we can
so problem with you read textbooks, they always tell to mix with juice. You are putting a rice tube and giving, there is no point in putting in juice, because again it will become more thicker. You simply dilute in water and give, because you have a tube. So no need of the taste is very bad, that's why they are asking for mixing in a juice. If you don't have a rice tube, juice is okay, because it cannot take it very bad taste. Okay.
Then after that we can put through rice tubes. That will be then our initial system examination, cardiovascular system S1 S2%, no murmurs, nothing significant. In respiratory system there is no wheeze, no crepitation, pattern of breathing is normal, respiratory rate is 18 to 20 cycles per minute, saturation is 98%. Neurological system examination, higher mental functions are normal, no motor and sensory system are within normal, no cerebellar signs. Abdomen is soft, no organomegaly, no guarding rigidity, no tenderness at initial presentations. Then since it is an acute ingestion with paraquat, we asked for routine lab investigations, electrolytes with renal function test, liver function test, and already toxicological samples we have taken. We preserved both a GI sample and urine sample for.
Okay. When you talk about toxicological samples in paraquat poison, one is GI sample, one is blood sample, one is urine sample. Can you talk about all these things?
Yes, sir. Usually in all toxic patient we have to take all 3 samples, sir.
Okay.
And in pertain to paraquat poisoning, serum sample and urine sample are more important, sir. Usually paraquat is taken through GI tract and it is not absorbed systematically, and it is excreted through urine. So urine level will be high, urine samples will be initially positive.
Normally when it goes to the blood, it clears very fast and go to the urine. Even if you check after few hours, you may not see it in blood, but you will see in urine. Okay.
But in case of creatinine issues, for example CKD patients or acute kidney injury patient, the sample of blood also can test positive for paraquat.
Okay. So that time you may not get in urine, because anuria will be there, the reduced urine excretion of paraquat. So urine may be negative and blood may be positive. So ideally you have to send all these things and preserve one sample of GI for next examination. Like if it goes to the medical legal case, then you have to preserve the sample. Okay.
Yes, sir. Then this samples we have taken, sir, and we are planning for charcoal hemoperfusion for this patient. In meanwhile, we got labs, sir. His lab parameters, initial parameters were total count of 20,000 with a neutrophil predominant. His LFTs and LFTs were normal initially, sir. Bilirubin is on little bit on higher side, it is 2. Then creatinine initially it is 1.2, sir. Then with this we took him for first session of charcoal hemoperfusion, sir.
So when will you decide for charcoal hemoperfusion? When will you decide for hemodialysis, or both together is more beneficial?
Yes, sir. Charcoal hemoperfusion is always better than hemodialysis, sir.
It is not like that. When you have a
renal injury,
without renal injury, initially charcoal hemoperfusion will be best. But once the patient develops renal injury, you give charcoal hemoperfusion with dialysis, that will be beneficial. If there is no renal failure, no need to go for dialysis. Only hemoperfusion will be enough.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Then this was his initial 12 hours management. Okay. After that, patient had a worsening of renal function test.
What is the role of steroids in management of?
Steroids, we have to start as anti-inflammatory effect. We have to start early.
One of the most important complication of this one is lung fibrosis. Okay. To prevent that, we have to start early steroids. Okay.
We started him on dexamethasone at 8 mg TID dose. We have started, sir.
Okay.
For him.
So ideally, when you suspect a anti-inflammatory drug, steroid should be given as a single dose. When you are thinking about a replacement dose, then steroid 3 times, 4 times will be okay. But when you are thinking about an anti-inflammatory property of steroids, it's always better to give a single dose of steroid. It has got multiple advantages. One is it is going to act in a higher dose. Second one is it is not going to alter your protein axis. That steroid axis will not be suppressed. So that's why we always prefer single dose steroid as an anti-inflammatory drug, multi-dose as a replacement for steroid. Okay, so that should be followed. Okay, higher dose of dexamethasone like 40 milligram should be equivalent to 1 gram of methylprednisolone. So that should be given. Okay.
Other drugs.
Some doctors prefer cyclophosphamide. Okay.
Cyclophosphamide can be taken.
Okay.
Then we started him on N-acetylcysteine.
What is the role of oxygen?
Yes. This oxygen-induced lung damage will be there. So there should not be.
Since it's a free radical injury, oxygen unnecessarily should not be started. Okay.
Oxygen should be avoided unless saturation falls less than 90%. We should not start oxygen, sir.
Okay.
Then other drugs with like vitamin C and vitamin E, which have antioxidant effect, we have to start.
Assuming that it has got an antioxidant effect, it can be used. It is not. There is no definitive guidelines that it is not going to improve. It is not going. It is going to give a good result, but it has got some role. Okay. So oxygen should be used with caution. But once the patient develops hypoxemia, you have to use it. Okay. N-acetylcysteine.
N-acetylcysteine also it is having renal protective and hepatic protective.
It's also antioxidant. It has got an antioxidant property. It has got a liver protective property, renal protective property. All are because of its antioxidant property. So that is recommended, but we don't know how far it is going to work, because many patients, the mortality rate of this is very high. What is the mortality rate?
Paraquat mortality rate is more than 90%.
Okay, it's very high. If large doses are taken, it is nearly more than 80%. And once the patient develops lung injury, then definitely the patient is not going to survive. Okay, very difficult to save the patient. Okay. Yes. What is the importance of knowing the date of the paraquat which is prepared?
If it is already an open sample, or if it is an expired sample, means.
So many cases you see, it will be kept for longer time. The paraquat, maybe expiry date is over, or it is opened. Then the potency of the drug will be lost. In that condition, there is high chance of recovery of this patient. New sample, freshly prepared sample has got a higher mortality rate. That should be, when you communicate to the patient, you have to communicate everything. Okay. Is it a medical legal case, suicidal attempt?
Suicide is not a medical legal case, but if a patient expires or if he dies, then it should be.
The suicidal attempt is not a medical legal case, but we have to inform the police, because if the patient dies or patient deteriorates, then it may be very important. Okay.
Yes, sir.
What else? How is the patient now?
Sir, successively patient deteriorated, sir. Okay. His renal function test worsen. His liver function test also worsen. Okay. His saturation start to fall with hypoxia settling in. Okay. Then now patient is on ventilator support, sir.
Okay. Is there any type of ventilation you want to adopt?
Sir, lung protective ventilation we have to follow, sir.
Same like ARDS ventilation, almost same. Because initially they tell to restrict the oxygen, but once the patient develops hypoxemia, we have no other choice. You have to go according to the ARDS like protocol, because it's a type of ARDS, not exactly same as the ARDS. It's a type of ARDS like injury in the lung. Okay.
Low PEEP we have to keep, sir.
How is the patient now?
Patient
is deteriorating.
Yes, sir.
Okay. We should always give a guarded prognosis to the relatives or bystanders, since it's the mortality rate of this compound is very high. Any other type of drugs are available in this class? Poisons?
Diquat.
Diquat is not available routinely in our area. It may be available somewhere else, but it has got a similar property. Treatment also similar to the paraquat. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.